Hello, my fellow starseeds. I hope you're all doing very well. I am. Today is a new day. I'm feeling great. I feel really happy, actually. Happy after deep in it, as my daughter would say, that I've come out of a very surreal experience, and now that I'm out the other end, intact, stronger, and a lot wiser, I've been able to take what I've gone through and transmuted it all into fuel, so that now I have a stronger relationship with the spirit realm, and I can use it all to harness what I call my superpowers and my greatness. There's no need to downplay who you are and what you know to be true. I know it doesn't help that some of us keep looking back at certain things that have happened in history, things that have left us feeling displaced as a people, and see this as a disempowerment in whatever shape or form. Therefore, I've lost touch with who they are and all our generational inheritance, powers that have been passed down through generations and history and lineage. But because we've forgotten our birthright and our powerful lineage, where we came from, all that stuff that came before us and has paved the way for us, it all can add to that feeling of not feeling anchored in anything particular. I'm talking to the individuals that can recognize that calling. They know that there's a spiritual need for them. They can hear that voice. I'm referring to those individuals that have an innate knowing that they have a certain calling and can hear that quiet beckoning voice telling them to come home, home to yourself, home to your higher self. You don't have to wait for someone to come along and give you all the instructions and answers and directions. Fine-tuning and harnessing your superpower is an inside job and can be achieved by anybody, immaterial of where you are in the world. And even if you don't have any elders around that can give you guidance and support through the different experiences that you're going through. A good friend of mine, who's also quite powerful and they can tap into whatever wisdom that they have, recently said to me, if only there was a school or somewhere where we can go to tap into, to make sure that what we're actually feeling is truly our guidance and our higher self. He mentioned in Nigeria, the Ogun people have a community where you can be guided through the transition. And he even went on to say it was okay for me because I was of Ghanaian heritage, therefore had access to traditional practices and ancestral guidance. But I know my journey to where I am now and what supported my spiritual growth. And I have to say a lot of it was gained by simply me following my inner guidance system and the different channels that I was being led to in order to hear my higher self clearly. Of course, I have an altar to my ancestors and I commune with them on a daily basis. But that's no different from anybody else. Anyone could do that. But, in regards of having an ancestral lineage that I can tap into, that's accessible to everybody. I don't have any elders around me, apart from my mother. She's very spiritual, of course, but if I talk about spirituality, she's very traditional in her Christian reality. So I'm quite happy to find my way on my own. Furthermore, we all have ancestors. And because I have a direct Ghanaian heritage, it doesn't really make me any different. We're all African at the end of the day, let's be real. So you have exactly the same access as I do. I mean, everyone's experience is different, of course. My spiritual path started many moons ago with me just being driven by a serious want, and then being guided to the things that would help me at that stage. And then thereon, being introduced to people like George Farrakhan Kelly, and obviously Tony Moo, who I've spoken about in previous videos, who is now Muji to most people. They helped me in my early 20s to try and fine-tune my knowledge. Even though they took me under their wing and helped me back then, it's only, in latter stages like now that I really, really understand what they were giving me, letting me into. Sometimes when you get information a bit too soon before you're actually at the stage, it won't be useful until you reach that particular level. Obviously, if I was living in Ghana and I had loads of elders around me also, it would be a different experience. And they'll help me to go through the whole process, maneuver the different pit stops, the different pit holes. I guess they shouldn't be viewed too harshly anyway. They happen in order for us to take heed of certain things, for us to pause, take stock of where we are, or even maybe learn a valid lesson that we haven't been able to recognize at previous stages. Or we could be given assistance to find solutions from our divine. Therefore, we have to slow down and stop. We have to get out of our way, let the divine step in and show us clearly what we're not seeing. That's what it's there for. Our gifts are there to be celebrated. And, they shouldn't be ignored. So if you recognize that you're sensitive to certain information and you can't even ascertain where the knowledge came from, or know something at such a soul level, and you also don't know how you can categorically say this is your truth, and no amount of gaslighting or second guessing is going to throw you off course, then I would say, you have a spiritual gift. Especially if you've got, real evidence to actually back you up and say, yes, see, I was right. More than likely, you are spiritual and you're receiving downloads from your higher self. There are 4 main ways that our intuition communicates with us, also known as the 4 clairs. Clairvoyance, when you have the ability to see images in your mind. Clairaudio, when you can hear messages in music, film, anything that has audio. Or you can hear voices. Clairsentience, when you recognize what a particular feeling means and having a particular feeling about something. Lastly, claircognizance, when you have a deep knowing of a situation and can practically comprehend all the components before the situation has played out. You might have picked up that you might possess 1 or 2 of the clairs, or maybe you have all of them. Either way, it's something you should celebrate. It's difficult to celebrate them because you're like, what's going on? There's no need to downplay them and act like they don't exist. That's the worst thing you could do. I'm not going to share which ones I possess. I don't want to scare some of you out there. See the downloads that you are getting as guidance from your higher self, and they're using these channels to communicate with you. 1 or all 4. Therefore, you don't have to always have this conversation, and it shouldn't be up for discussion, to be truth. You should hold it quite close to your heart. I spent a large part of my life trying to rationalize what was going on before I finally surrendered to it. I tried on countless occasions to share with people the downloads I would get in. And I was always met with like, don't be so silly. How did you come to that? If you're met with similar outcomes, don't take it too personally. I'm sure they mean well, or they're very protective of you. It just might mean you have to step back with discussing it with people that are not gifted in that way. Or, they're just overprotective or don't understand, therefore can't be of use, basically. You know your truth. Don't let anybody sort of throw you off course. Their ignorance of the subject cannot take you off your path to greatness. Once you develop a real relationship with your spiritual team and you can hear the guidance regularly and you can have a back and forth conversation with them, there'll be no need to share too often with non-believers. Your team will be there regularly to show you that they hear you. And you'll be like, wow, I don't need to deal with the real world. I have that team I've always been looking for, that listening ear.